rolled across the plains carried the scent of ash and iron. It was the spring of 1241, a season when Europe trembled before an unstoppable force from the east. Silhouettes emerged on the horizon, the Mongol cavalry in perfect formation, their armor of leather and iron, banners fluttering red and black against the sky, arrows released in slow motion, creating a dark cloud that blotted out the sun. Terrified peasants fled through fields, clutching children tightly as death approached. A Mongol commander raised his bow, the burning horizon reflecting in his eyes. The storm had arrived, and nothing would ever be the same again in Eastern Europe. Villages smoldered as the Mongol war machine pressed westward relentlessly. From above, ravens watched as history unfolded beneath their wings. The invaders established their camps, organized with military precision. Spring 1241 marked the beginning of a new era of fear and conquest. Sunlight streams through Colosseum arches as 50,000 Romans roar with collective ecstasy and anticipation. Senators in white togas sit beside merchants waving wreaths, while children clutch figs and shout for entertainment. The camera descends to the dusty arena floor where dark red stains mark previous spectacles in the sand. A young woman trembles while chained to a wooden post, her white dress torn and eyes filled with terror. The iron gate rises to reveal a massive bull with foam dripping from its mouth, ready to charge. Emperor Titus watches impassively from his shaded box, silk banners waving behind his throne. The bull charges across the arena as sand and blood explode into the air around the terrified woman. Romans cheer wildly while the woman's scream fades into the thunderous applause of the mob. Mongol arrows and Roman spears represent how empires rise through conquest and spectacle. Empires define civilization through their actions, whether building monuments or staging violence. Seneca observed the psychological impact of arena violence on Roman citizens and their moral decay from exposure. The arena served as Rome's psychological theater, where cruelty was normalized as public entertainment spectacle. Prisoners faced public execution where their suffering became Rome's political statement about power. Official announcements transformed human suffering into state-sanctioned public performance. Predators symbolized Rome's raw power over those who challenged imperial authority. Audience participation demonstrated how violence became normalized communal experience. Financial records reveal Rome prioritized spectacle spending over public infrastructure development. The arena functioned as obedience machine teaching compliance through orchestrated violence. Rome's arena demonstrated how political systems can weaponize entertainment for control. This systematic approach to psychological control remains relevant to modern power dynamics. The philosopher recognized how exposure to violence corroded Roman civic virtue. Arena spectacles taught that defiance brought spectacular punishment as warning. In 264 BC, a funeral ritual began with three sons honoring their father's memory through combat. The first clash was brutal and unscripted, raw violence serving as tribute to the deceased. Soon, bloodshed transformed from ritual into political currency for ambitious men. Massive banners advertised upcoming games while wealthy patrons gained popularity. Meanwhile, in the Senate chamber, hard-faced men understood the power of spectacle. Gladiators prepared underground, each representing Rome's conquered enemies. A Thracian sharpened his curved foreign blade, each weapon telling a story of conquest. A Murmillo adjusted his fish-crested helmet, becoming a symbol rather than a man. Their slow-motion walk into the arena represented Rome's military dominance. Every death retold a Roman victory. Every wound reminded the world of their power. The broken helmet in the sand symbolized the human cost of political spectacle. Civilization is measured not by monuments, but by what they were built to hide. There came a point when ordinary blood was not enough for Rome's entertainment demands. Rome had witnessed death so frequently that it ceased being shocking or memorable, so the empire reached beyond its borders to find novel creatures for slaughter. Whatever lived within Rome's expanding reach, the empire claimed ownership over. Whatever Rome owned, it ultimately destroyed for public entertainment value. They called these spectacles the venatio, meaning the hunt in Latin language. But nothing was truly hunted in these staged events. Everything was doomed. Gladiators became strange celebrities, adored yet dying young for entertainment. The midday sun burns fiercely above the crowded amphitheater as restless spectators fan themselves impatiently. Backstage, executioners meticulously prepare terrifying props, including wooden beasts and spike traps. A trembling prisoner dressed as Orpheus holds a lyre with shaking hands awaiting his fate. A starving bear charges toward the musical performer as the crowd leans forward eagerly. Another prisoner wearing crude wings stands nervously on a high wooden platform above spikes. Executioners shove the false Icarus from the platform onto the waiting spikes below. A muscular prisoner chained as Hercules strains against his restraints helplessly. Wild beasts approach the chained hero who cannot defend himself from their attack. The audience roars with approval as each mythological execution reaches its bloody conclusion. Elaborate mechanisms lift fake mountains into position using complex pulley systems. Dozens of workers strain at massive levers to shift entire sections of the arena floor. Wooden creatures move by hidden gears, creating terrifying automated spectacles. The Romans engineered cruelty with terrifying precision, building machines for execution. Two frightened women stand armed in the arena, forced to fight each other to death. The women reluctantly engage in combat as the crowd watches with morbid fascination. A prisoner dressed as a priestess trembles before her execution, praying silently. Spectators leer at the female prisoners, their pain becoming eroticized entertainment. Even children laugh and point, desensitized to the brutal spectacle before them. The sand slowly turns crimson as each execution adds to the growing bloodstain. As the spectacle ends, the cheering fades and the massive arena falls silent. Only bones and broken props remain as evidence of the day's brutal entertainment. Beneath the earth, skeletons testify to the countless lives lost for amusement. Rome built its architectural wonders but also perfected engineered cruelty. The arena's legacy reminds us how easily entertainment can become brutality. Torrents of water surge through ancient stone aqueduct channels toward the arena. The massive amphitheater begins filling like an enormous stone bowl with water. Romans ingeniously brought ocean warfare to inland sand arenas for entertainment. These Naumachii staged naval battles where no ocean naturally existed before. Chained prisoners strained as rowers struggling to maintain balance on ships. Julius Caesar watched the first spectacle from his marble balcony above. Engineers carved huge basins from earth near Tiber River for these events. Aqueduct systems filled these transformed spaces for fictional warfare spectacles. Emperor Claudius drained entire lakes just to watch men drown for amusement. Sailors raised oars in salute to the emperor watching their performance. Moritur to salutant meant those about to die salute their divine executioner. This greeting was offered to a god they knew would never answer their prayers. Emperor Commodus strode into arena wearing lion skin like Hercules. Crowds roared by imperial command rather than genuine admiration. Commodus fired arrows at tied animals, then posed after each kill. Historical records show he fought over 700 times as gladiator. Each victory was purchased with imperial coin rather than earned courage. Over centuries, these games grew more elaborate and morally questionable. Applause became compulsory ritual rather than genuine audience reaction. Commodus declared himself god-emperor through these staged performances. Losing was impossible for emperor who controlled every arena outcome. These spectacles remain powerful symbols of Roman imperial extravagance. Christian prisoners kneel in simple tunics upon the hot sand awaiting their fate in the massive arena. Massive iron gates creak open, revealing hungry lions pacing impatiently behind the barriers. The Roman crowd chants mocking hymns that echo across the stone amphitheater walls. Emperors viewed these executions as divine justice against religious defiance. The arena transformed into Rome's pulpit, preaching fear through brutal spectacle. As the empire aged, statues began crumbling, showing structural weakness. Empty granaries revealed the economic collapse spreading through provinces. Torn banners symbolized the declining discipline within Roman legions. Soldiers gambled instead of training, showing military decay. Seneca wrote by lamplight, warning about arena violence corrupting society. Arena violence seeped into daily life, with street brawls becoming common. Families casually cheered at minor executions, showing desensitization. The people demanded bread and circuses above all else for survival. Entertainment became an addiction that the empire could not sustain. Juvenal's famous words, panem et circenses, flashed as warning. This addiction to spectacle ultimately signaled Rome's irreversible decay. The empire's resources flowed toward spectacle, with caravans stretching to the horizon. Gladiator schools swelled beyond capacity, each man a costly investment in death. Treasury officials argued over empty coffers, the games draining Rome's wealth. Economically, the burden was ruinous. Animals captured across continents. Fighters were trained, fed, and buried at enormous public expense. Emperors bankrupted treasuries just to outdo their predecessors' spectacles. Politically, ambition withered as soldiers watched mock battles instead of drilling. Amphitheaters replaced proper training grounds throughout the empire. Citizens who once built aqueducts now waited only for the next execution. The professional army's discipline collapsed under the game's corrupting influence. Infrastructure projects halted as games consumed the empire's budget. The social fabric unraveled as violence became entertainment. Roman virtues of discipline and civic duty were replaced by bloodlust. Political office became about funding games rather than governing wisely. Each spectacle grew more extravagant as the empire grew weaker. In the end, the arena devoured more than lives. It devoured the empire's soul. The games left behind empty treasuries and emptier civic purpose. While Rome entertained itself, barbarians massed at the weakened borders. What was spent on one day's games could have fed legions for months. The Colosseum stands as monument to both Roman grandeur and decline. The price of spectacle proved higher than any military defeat. Rome's story warns that entertainment cannot replace governance. The empire buried itself beneath the weight of its own spectacle. In the silent arena, we see the cost of confusing bread with circuses,